Hi, I'm Daniel Lucas, and welcome to Book 101. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years, and today I have my special guest. He's award-winning author, no other than Mr. S.C. Gowland.
Hello, Mr. Gowland.
How are you?
I'm fabulous like you, and I'll do the recap of all the books that we talk about. So let's start with the Legends and Dragons.
Well, Delusions and Dragons is the newest novel that I've written. It is Jumanji meets The Hobbit. It is a fun fantasy book. It is a book full of love and humour and kindness, and also some darkness, and a couple that are very much in an alien world, in a world that they don't understand. It's been entered into the self-published fantasy blog off for this year. I've got quite high hopes for it because it seems to be different to a lot of the books that have been submitted this year. It is a book that I've enjoyed writing a lot, but it is a bit of a standalone. It is set within the same universe as the others. The other books that I've written is, well, the first trilogy is the Souls Abyss trilogy, which we've discussed on previous podcasts, which is a number of three different books, starting with the Dark Crown, which is available free on my website, and we've got two other books that followed on from that, which is Coven of Shadows and Darkness Falls. They are a fairly traditional fantasy type of trilogy, full of lots of magic and joy and wonder and heroes and bad guys. Very much setting up the universe that I'm going to write further into this year and in coming years. So, been very well received. The Dark Crown was a double semi-finalist in the self-published fantasy blog off back in SPFBO 6, and it was a semi-finalist in the book blogger novel of the year. Been very well received some fantastic reviews. Very much books that you can just get into and fall in love with characters and adventure and a bit of humor, but also some suspense and thrilling adventures as well.
Very well said, Mr. Gowland. So let's talk about.
Imagine the Fire is a standalone in some respects. It is a bit of a prequel to the Souls Abyss trilogy. I called it one of the origins of the Souls Abyss. So it is very much about how how things start to fall into place, and how one or two um, innocuous or seemingly innocent events that happen at a time of kind of when the world finds itself at a bit of a crossroads, whereby it could take a road for the better, or it could take a road for the worse. And it was well received within SPFBO last year. Unfortunately, it didn't make the semi-finals, but the reviews that I received were very positive. Particularly in relation to the action and the dialogue and the pace of the action and that sort of thing. It's actually the shortest book that I've written, um, just over 70 odd thousand words, but definitely a book looking at the world before darkness threatens, kind of well, it's kind of before the Soul's Abyss, darkness threatened the world, magic changed forever, and the future of the kingdom hung in the balance. And that's where we find ourselves at the start of the book.
Congratulations, Mr. Gowland. So Imagine the Fire. Is this the prequel?
It's the prequel, so it sets up all of the origin stories, and introduces us within one book to two main characters. We very much find that the kingdom is sort of the king is being a rival power is threatening the king as he's looking to sort of rebuild his empire, but his sanity is crumbling. And he's looking for sort of a secret power that will help him achieve his aims. He won't sort of stop. He wants to accomplish his goals, and he'll do everything he can to make sure that he gets there, but he can't sort of see the realm beyond his own madness. And we come across our two main characters, which is Daria Ravesh, who spent sort of a lifetime in service to the king and is kind of distraught at his decline. But she sort of meets a rival. She meets a guy called Edris Fane, who appears to have all of the answers that her king needs, but she can't decide whether he's kind of potentially her greatest ally or her ultimate rival. Idris's family are sort of threatened, and when his people are attacked, he's forced to sort of join the king to fight for the freedom and the power, the peace that he craves. But unleashing his anger sort of reveals to him the true power of the darker side of the magic that he holds within him, which could sort of destroy him and all he holds clear. So the tagline for the book is heroes will rise, enemies will fall, but chaos will reign.
Wow, interesting indeed. So imagine the fire origins of the Soul's Abyss prequel. What behind the title?
It's a song, if I'm honest. But when I was writing the original trilogy, I did listen to a lot of classical music and a lot of film themes. And one of the songs that I had on repeat a lot was a song called Imagine the Fire by Hans Zimmer. It's actually from The Dark Knight Rises, one of the Batman films. And it was just one of those songs that I played again and again and again, and I just loved the title. So I figured that I would use the title of one of my favorite songs for writing to be one of my book titles. So thanks to Hans Zimmer for providing the inspiration for the book title.
Very well said, Mr. Gowland. So before we go on, I want to shout out to the people listening. According to my top ranking on the Apple charts in the last 30 days. Well, in Canada, I got 77 on the Apple chart. United Republic of Tanzania 113, Nigeria at 168, Rwanda number 44, Zambia at number 8, Egypt at 31, Mongolia at 40, Pakistan at 44, Cameroon at 76, United Arab Emirates at 143, United Kingdom at 167, Libya at 172, Algeria at 188, Vietnam at 204, Georgia at 206, South Africa at 215, Jordan at 236. Thank you so much for supporting this podcast because this podcast is created to empower writers all over the world, like Mr. S.C. Gowland. Imagine the fire origin of the Souls Abyss prequel. How did you craft it?
I crafted it on a basic idea that I had while I was walking the dog, because sometimes you do get your best ideas when you don't expect. So the idea for Imagine the Fire was, what if two people potentially could save the world, but also could potentially destroy it, from the point of view of, depending on the point of view of whether they got on or not, and bearing in mind how difficult it can be to sort of know whether somebody is your friend or your enemy. It can be very, very difficult, and often the fate of the world can come down to little things going one way or going another. So I like the idea of an ancient king that was sort of losing his power, and had sort of generated a huge amount of loyalty from the people that he ruled, and one person in particular who has served him flawlessly throughout her entire life, and would do anything for him, is kind of pained by his demise and the difficulties that he faces. um, has to step out of her comfort zone, and she has to work with somebody who could very much in a lot of ways is like her. Edris Fain is very, very loyal to his family. He wants the best for his people, but ultimately he wants peace. Um, and sometimes you don't know what you're capable of until you find yourself in extraordinary circumstances. So the tale of Daria Ravesh and Edris Fain is very is they're very similar, but they find themselves at odds on certain things, but in agreement on some things. So um, it was about whether they're able to sort of work together to save the world, or whether things will get worse. And there's also the hidden question about who is the rival for the rival power aiming to take over the king's throne.
Yes, indeed. Imagine the fire. What do you think the flaws?
Flaws. Um, it's a little too short. I suppose I could have put more depth in, because, like I say, it is the shortest book that I've written so far. I would have liked a bit more. I would have liked more time to go into a bit more detail, because you've only really got 2 points of view. You've only got two characters, 2 points of view. So you have Edris and Daria, and you have you we see the story through their eyes, and hopefully you can sympathize with their own particular points of view, and why they choose to do some things that you may not agree with. But it would have been, time didn't allow me, unfortunately, because I'd set myself a deadline, and I very, very much don't like to break those deadlines. So I suppose the one flaw with this book is that I would have liked it to have been a little bit longer.
Very well said, Mr. Gowland. Do you imagine the fire? Which chapter do you enjoy the most? You
There
enjoyed
was,
writing with?
well, the one I enjoyed writing the most. There is a there's a chapter within the book called The Broken Silence. It's on a page 140. And it's when really big things happen, really bad things happen. And it was actually, no, that's the wrong chapter. So, no, it is the right chapter. The Yes, this is the one where we reach a crossroads. We reach a significant point, when Edris finds himself in a horrible situation, and he does something within that chapter that he's never done before, that he never dreamed he was capable of. And it's my one of the people that proofread the book said that it was the scariest thing that they'd ever read, that I had ever written. And I'd be lying if I said I didn't enjoy it, because I did. I enjoyed it a lot. It was really, really nice writing almost like a chapter of horror within the book itself. It is a very dark book, a very, very dark book. But yeah, certainly The Broken Silence um, was the most fun to write, because I've never written a sort of a horror chapter before. But this was I was really able to throw everything in, and I even sort of, you surprise yourself sometime, um, when you write certain things. But this, yeah, The Broken Silence was absolutely my favorite chapter to write, because it was a chance to really, really scare people.
If you want to go back and revise the book itself, which part of the book you want to revise?
That's a good question, Daniel. It's a really good question, because the one thing I did revise was, and I was actually able to do this, was it's got 20 chapters. This book, it's 230 pages, and it's very quick. You whiz through the book very quickly, even though it is a good length. And when I finished the book, I wasn't satisfied with it. There was something missing, so I added an epilogue at the end, and it's an epilogue that I didn't plan at all. It's only 3 pages, 2.5 pages, um, and it just made the whole book a million times better, because it explained a couple of things that people may have missed. and it sets things up for the main Souls Abyss trilogy. And there's a couple of unanswered questions within that epilogue, and like I say, it's only a page and a half, but it sets things up that I may explore within future books, because um, sometimes you write the book that you want to write, and I did write the book that I wanted to write, but even though time was against me, I knew that I had to do something to tie it all together. And the epilogue that I wrote at the end of Imagine the Fire, even though it's 2.5 pages, it ties everything together, but it asks one huge question, um, and it provides a bit of a big twist. Um, so yeah, definitely, I probably would want to go into a bit more detail there, but I kind of like the fact that it's only 2.5 pages, but the twist is there that people won't be expecting. And it does set things up very, very nicely for the next two trilogies. The two main characters, like I say, Daria Ravesh is the right hand of the king, in effect. She is a very loyal, very clever, very dominant personality. She's very confident in her own ability. She's very loyal to the king. Um, she has she has a very affectionate relationship with the king, even though he is the king. She feels very deeply for him. She feels committed to him to sort of do whatever is needed to make sure that he rules and that he is healthy. And she hates to see his decline. She hates to see him losing his mind to madness. Um, and she'll do anything to achieve it, but sometimes she doesn't know what to do for the best, particularly when the king, who has sort of mentored her career and has helped her find her feet and establish herself as the right hand of the king, she's very much um, uncomfortable with some of the things that she finds herself in, and with some of the decisions that she has to make, whereby the opposite is true of Edris Fane, because he's a complete family man. He answers to no king. He is a king in his own right in many respects. He's will do absolutely anything for his family. His family are his most important thing in his life. He loves his wife. He has two children, um, and he just wants freedom and peace, and to make sure that he looks after the best interests of his people. Um, so Edris was a huge amount of fun to write, actually, because I'm a family man. I've got a family myself, so I found I was able to put a lot of myself into Edris. And the counterpoint is that Daria is very much, she has no family. The king is her family, the army is her family, so they're both fighting for things that they firmly believe in, but it can lead to, and it does lead to, a lot of quite significant conflict between the pair of them.
Interesting, Mr. Gowland. So before we go on, I'm inviting you to listen to my other podcast, Food 101, on our third season with Chef Alessandro, one of the best executive chef in one of the best restaurants in downtown Toronto. And we are so grateful because we got our 1 million downloads. And because of that, we did our first book, Food 101, Volume 1, Basics. It's all about the basic that you need to create a delicious food in the kitchen. So please do grab a copy, available on Amazon and leading online bookstores worldwide. So please do listen, Food 101. So Mr. Garland, imagine the fire. What else you can say about it?
Well, if you were looking to get into any of my books, probably Imagine the Fire is the the easiest one to get into. It has the best opening of any book I've ever written. Um, in that you really feel yourself in the situation that Daria finds herself in, and you're able to see where she's coming from and what her priorities are. So Imagine the Fire was the most fun I've had in writing the start of a book, and strangely, I developed humor a bit more within the book. There are certain scenes within it that I hope people will find quite funny, and I was able to write two characters that I really liked, um, from various perspectives. And yeah, Imagine the Fire is has pace, and it has darkness, and it has jeopardy, and it has fear, and there's a lot at stake. And it just goes to show how little things can lead to huge seismic events, far beyond what people believe are possible within. You sometimes you do things for the best of reasons, not expecting them to have consequences. Well, this book shows that you can do things and have huge unintended consequences as a result.
Very well said, Mr. Gowland. So please, people, let's support Mr. Gowland because the books are phenomenal. Starting with Delicious and Dragons, the latest one. We start this book to go. We talk about it. If you are interested how Mr. Gowland crafted it or what are the struggles in writing with about all his books. The Dark Crown, the first book of the Soul's Abyss, the Coven of Shadows, the book two of the Soul's Abyss, and Darkness Falls, the third book of the Soul's Abyss, book three, and of course the prequel of the Soul's Abyss, Imagine the Fire. It's phenomenal, people. So let's support Mr. S.C. Garland because if you support him, he will give more books, right, Mr. Gowan?
Absolutely, Daniel. Absolutely right.
So, do you have an upcoming book to promote?
I've got an upcoming book that I've got to write. So I'm in the process at the moment of planning the next three books. The next trilogy is going to be called Masks of Anarchy, and it is, if you picture the A Team meets The Walking Dead, that will probably not be far off what it's going to be like. It's going to be um, it's going to introduce you to a whole new set of characters. The first book, The Midnight Warriors, is out. We should be out by the end of this year. Then we've got sort of two other books that are planned for next year called War of Traitors and The Winter Door. The general idea is that I want to do as much planning as I can before I actually get into the whole sort of writing process. I like to spend a bit of time thinking about things. I like to spend a bit of time considering what I want to write and what I want to do. But what I can do is I can give you the blurb from the back of the Midnight Warriors just as a bit of a teaser for what to expect next. So the Midnight Warriors. As Isila slides toward, the neighbouring land of Ednahen already bears the scars of evil. 4 new heroes will rise in part 2 of the Soul's Abyss. Convicted of a treason they did not commit, a gang of hardened Ednahen Rangers are thrown into a godforsaken prison at the tail end of hell. Armed with nothing more than a crooked smile, Hanul Barsa must unite his ragtag team if he wants to reclaim his freedom. Stony Benevia Adomi can shatter bones with a twitch of her muscles. Fame Teal's beauty can get her out of almost any situation. And Mick Vern Var, well, whatever planet he lives on, it sure beats this one. Stealth, muscle, charm, and magic, all 4 Rangers will unleash their unique talents in the deadly quest to escape and clear their names. After all, where there's hope, there's a plan.
Ooh, intriguing. I like it, Mr. Golan. You are most welcome back to promote this book. What is your timeline?
Oh, the timeline. That's a very good question. I think I want it done by Christmas. I think I've got time to get it done by Christmas, but I need to spend July, and I need to spend the next 4 weeks plotting it and planning it out. So I roughly know what I'm doing, and then what I think I'll do from towards the end of August is I'll start writing, because I think I can get the whole thing written within about 10 weeks, 12 weeks, and then spend a month going through it. So it should, if I'm lucky, it may be out just before Christmas, or if not, definitely by early January 2024.
Good luck for that, Mr. Golan, and thank you for being part of my podcast. And what is your message to all aspiring,
Well,
aspiring writers all over
to
the world?
to all there's two pieces of advice to us all aspiring writers. Is the first one is lose the word aspiring. If you write, you're a writer. That's the end of it. Don't say that you're aspiring to do it. Just do it. You are a writer if you write. And the second one is have fun while you're doing it, because if you don't enjoy what you're writing, people can tell straight away. And if you don't enjoy what you're writing, you won't finish it, or certainly the chances of finishing it are a lot less likely than if you're writing something that you really love. And the other thing is that you'll have to go back that many times to edit it. You better have love what you've written, because there's nothing worse than going through a document or a book that you really, really hate. So absolutely make sure that you have fun, and you will definitely get to the end.
Very well said, Mr. Golan. Can you please invite our listeners to buy all your books?
Well, I'd be more than delighted to invite all of your listeners to buy all my books, Daniel. If you go to my website, www.scgowland.com, which is spelled SCGOWLAND, you can find all of the information there. And also, what I am going to do, um, just because this is our last interview for the moment, Daniel, from Monday the 17th of July, I will be making the Dark Crown completely free, for anybody to download, onto their Kindle or their ebook reader of choice. So there's a bit of a giveaway there, Daniel, for anybody who wants to get into the books that I've written. You can try the Dark Crown for absolutely no cost whatsoever. My free gift to you.
So, Mr. Golan, thank you for those 5 weeks that we talk about your books, your talents, and I'm very very grateful from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much.
And thank you for your time, Daniel. It's been really good to speak to you each week. You've been very kind in letting me come on more than once, and you've been a quite a challenging interviewer, I have to say. You've asked some hard questions, but it's been a huge amount of fun, and I've really enjoyed talking through things with you. So thank you for having me on.
Yes, so you are welcome back and come back if you have something to promote, and or if you have something to share about books that you read, and we talk about it, and at the same time we're gonna promote your books. So Marticon people, see you soon.